Welcome to the overview of the Service Mashup module of the MSActivator platform. As you can see here, the Service Mashup module provides you with a Service Manager interface, where you have a dashboard regarding all the services that were instantiated over the last week, last month. You see here the status, of course, in green, services that were instantiated successfully, and of course in red, any failure that may occur. We have detailed then per service. So for example, if I look to the service that was instantiated to automatically orchestrate a Storm Shield VNF on the cloud, I can click on the service and look at the different instances. So for example here, the last instances that was created for that particular service based on all the processes available. So processes to create an instance, processes to modify an instance. Very similar to what is available on the OBMF framework, Object-Based Management Framework. Similar also in the way you can design those services in a DevOps mode. So let me launch the IDE to see exactly how to instantiate new services, how to create processes, how to create tasks. So if I look at a service, it's first an information tab where I can name the service, I can also group that service, I can classify it, I can also give the delegation to know exactly who can access that service and who can do the instantiation. Then you have all the different processes, and I will come that later. Plus all the variables coming from all the tasks of all the different processes. So if you want to create a new process, you can do that graphically, simply by clicking on that plus button and giving a name. For example, my process. Okay. So a process has a type. A type is create, read, update, delete. This is what we saw in the Service Instance Manager. On the Service Manager console, we saw that you can launch a process with the type create, even if you do not select a process instance. For the other types, in particular update, delete, those processes can only be launched by selecting a process service instance first. So here I will create a process with the create type. I can of course delegate the administration at the process level. I can do that globally for the service. I can do that per process. And then I will have to implement all the different tasks. For that, I just have to click on that plus button. So a process of a service is a set of tasks. So for example, in my process, I may have a step 1, which is to create a VLAN, for example. Here you have multiple choices. A task is implemented by a PHP file. Using PHP, it's a way to not only be able to send orders to OBMF and to manage objects, but also to be able to implement any algorithm and to call any third-party system in particular. This is how to use the integration as well and how to be able to implement any network scenario. So I can, for example, link that task to an existing process, like for example, maybe that one. Looking at the task, here it is. Okay, or I can simply edit my own PHP file. And for that, the MSActivator provides you, and let me remove that task in order to create a new task. So step 1, create VLAN. If you want to start from scratch, then simply, instead of selecting an existing task available in the library, you can click on the plus icon in order to create your own task. Here it is. We have that skeleton with all the common functions available, in particular the one used to send orders to OBMF to create, update, delete, or import objects. And then you can enter your code here. So for example, you can implement any algorithm that you want. At the end, simply click OK. And automatically, the MSActivator will store the definition of that new process in the repository. You can, of course, add new tasks to link the different steps. Just need to delete the task. So you can have a task 2 or not, it's up to you. Let me correct here the spelling. And automatically the MSActivator will look at all the tasks from all the different processes and look at the parameters. So in particular, you can see that we can have new parameters. It will be more visible by simply saving the process and looking at the UI. So automatically you see, because of the type create, you have a new process available on the UI that you can click on, and you have those new variables as well. Of course, this is something that you can also easily remove through the IDE. So removing the process, simply right-click on the process name and remove it. And of course, removing the variables. There it is. Save and close. Automatically, the MSActivator updates the service definition file that you can consider in the HCMano as a NSD. And you see here the variables are no more there. So with the IDE, you can create the process that you want, the task that you need, and then you can simply launch them through that service manager interface that will provide you with the history about all the instances. And if you click on that status button, you will have also information regarding when that instance was executed. And you can even look at the details. This is where, in the tasks themselves, you can implement traces and debugs. For example, to look exactly to which floating IP ID, unique ID, and address was allocated, sending a create order on the objects of OBMF. You can look at what happened at the OpenStack layer, creating the VNF, up to creating the device on the MSActivator, and you have the ID. Of course, you can also implement error messages that will help you to do debugging on the different processes of the different services. I hope that that demonstration provided you some useful information about the service mashup module. If you need more information, simply contact UBIqube at